Hello and welcome to Thrive in 5. Have you ever run into somebody you haven't seen in a while and they've lost all this weight and then you run into them 6 months later and all the weight's back on again? Well, that's actually me. I've never been particularly heavy, but a couple of years ago I decided I was going to lose those last 10 to 15 pounds, and so I audited Weight Watchers. I didn't take the classes, but I counted the points, and the weight came off after 6 months or so. But fast forward to today, and all the weight's back on again. And yet there are some people who do manage to keep that weight off. So the question is, what's the difference between me and them? And I'd like to suggest the answer lies in the difference between a diet and a lifestyle change. To me, Weight Watchers was a diet. It was a series of steps to follow. And as long as I was motivated, I followed the steps and it worked. But once I reached my goal, my motivation waned. I stopped counting because counting's not easy. I didn't experience a lifestyle change, or another way of saying that is I didn't experience a paradigm shift. My basic understanding of diet, nutrition, exercise remained the same. The dieting approach to life, it's relatively easy because it's like, it's a bunch of steps. Tell me what to do. But precisely because it's the result of what somebody else is telling me, the impact is not as long-lasting or as deep. A paradigm shift, on the other hand, involves things looking different to me. I do it because it makes sense. And as a result, it's far more long-lasting and deep in impact, but it's not as easy because it's the result of really new insight. And insight isn't something that we can predict or control. It requires a longer-term approach, a willingness to immerse oneself and to contemplate and allow those insights to come at their own pace. In this week's Torah reading, Moshe is punished for drawing water from a rock by striking it with his staff instead of speaking to the rock as he was commanded. And it's not clear exactly what he did wrong, but one thing that seems to be part of his mistake is that he seems to have lost his patience with the Jewish people. He calls them rebellious, and we need to understand that. So, contrary to what a lot of people think, Judaism is not a diet. It's a lifestyle change. It's not a series of do's and don'ts and a way to fix the world, but it's meant to transform the way we see things, which is why we pray every day, Ha'er einenu b'sorasecha, enlighten our eyes with your Torah. It's meant to transform the way the world looks to us. And a great example of this is the 40 years that Moshe led the Jewish people through the desert. It's not because the men refused to ask for directions, as some people joke, but because he was tasked with ingraining within the Jewish people an awareness that God runs the world, every detail of it, in such a powerful and long-lasting way that it would take them not only into the land, but through the various exiles they were destined to experience as a nation. And here he is, 40 years into the project, and instead of nicely asking for water, they complain and grumble in a way that indicates that they haven't learned anything. And so it's not surprising that Moshe loses patience, but the message of the Torah is clear. He's punished because he needed to stick it out. He was tasked with effecting that kind of change, and he didn't quite make it. Anybody who knows me knows that whether I'm teaching Torah or working with my clients, I always have an eye towards this longer-term approach. I'm always trying to affect change in a deep way as a result of a shift in the way people see things. And I have to say that more often than not, I'm a little disappointed in the fact that people don't seem to have the wherewithal or the willingness to approach things in this way. They want me to give them the 5 steps or the tools or the whatever, the easy answer. And my hope is that some of you are listening and you can assimilate the powerful lesson of this week's Torah portion, which is, yes, it's not as easy, and yes, it can be on some level perhaps frustrating, but we have to be willing to commit to the longer-term approach. The dieting approach to life simply doesn't cut it when it comes to most of life's truly worthwhile endeavors. In fact, the dieting approach doesn't even work for dieting. So hopefully we can ingrain this lesson and be willing to take that longer-term approach because it's the only way we will achieve the kind of really meaningful and lasting and deep change that I think we are all ultimately looking for. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day, and hopefully we'll see you next week.